All right, guys, thank you for joining along today for my first podcast. Sorry I haven't really posted lately. I had some stuff come up, but I will be getting back onto it. But I have some things that I'm going to change. From now on, I will be posting a podcast on Tuesdays. Every Tuesday you can count on it of each month. And then on Saturdays, I'll be posting a video. So, one podcast a week, one video. So, after that, I have some other good news. I bought a new camera, a Sony a6000 that films very well. I'm excited to put it in the field and test it and get some good content and videos out for you guys that you can learn from and watch. And yeah, so today the podcast will be on top 10 mule deer hunting tips that I use. Some of the stuff you can use when you hunt elk, whitetail, any other species, you can pull stuff from this podcast that you can use. In fact, a lot of it. But might as well kick it off with number one. This is so important to know your equipment is number one. Know your equipment. As in guns, packs, boots, camo, bullets, ballistics, all that stuff. The reason this is so important is say you have a deer on your archery hunt at 100 yards. You're pulling 60 pounds on your bow. And the farthest you've shot is 60 yards. I mean, if it's a big buck, everyone's going to want to shoot it. But the ethical thing is to not fling that arrow. Because the last thing you want to do is wound that buck. Because if you wound it, you're either tracking for miles or you never find the deer and he gets away and he probably dies somewhere else. So that's a big thing, is knowing your equipment. Another thing with that is when you're hiking, during the archery hunt, me and my cousin and brother, we all probably hike a good 3 to 10 miles a day. When you're hiking, you want to know your boots especially. This year I wore cowboy boots and got blisters, but my cousin Jack, he wore crispy boots and he was fine. In fact, he told me I need to buy some, so that's a big purchase for next that I'm going to get next. But another thing with your pack, you want to have a comfortable light pack that can pack animals out. I have the Mystery Ranch. I don't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but it's one of their smaller packs, but I've packed out. My biggest thing I've packed out on it so far was an elk hind quarter with a quarter shoulder, and then I think I had back straps and my gun on it. And it was weighed down. That was a heavy pack out, but it performed. My cousin Jack, he has I don't remember the brand, but his pack is more of a day pack. But if you have to, paracord stuff to your pack and get it out. And my brother Kyle, he just uses whatever the heck Jack brings him. So, coming on to tip number 2. If no deer are in the area, move on. I mean, people can disagree or agree with me, but the way that I like to hunt is if I don't see a deer, hike on. I don't like sitting around looking for deer. Like, it's not my favorite thing. I'd rather be on the move looking for deer. Now, people, like I said, people are going to disagree, but that's just the way I prefer to hunt, which will bring me on to another tip a little later on. But along with move on from the area is the season's short. So say your area isn't performing as well as you'd want, move on from it. Last year, that's what happened to me on the rifle hunt. My area didn't really produce as much as I'd like, and I just chose to stay there. But previously on other hunts, I've done that. When I shot my elk, we were constantly going to different areas. So that's one thing that I learned this season is move on if your area doesn't have the stuff that you want to see. And that will bring me on to another tip a little later too. Number 3, be there before the sun comes up. The best thing you can do, the best times to hunt is morning light and evening, because that's when those deer come out to feed, and they just come out to graze around, get water, and that's your best time, honestly. When the archery hunt rolls around on August, I think it was 18th last year. Right now it is 2021. I think it's January 23rd, I think. But on August 18th, our hunt started last year, I'm pretty sure, for the archery. And the first day, we were there morning light. When the sun was coming up, we were already there in the dark. And then the sun came up, and we probably saw a good 15 bucks. And I'm not saying you're going to see that every time you're there before light. But if you're there before light, I think you increase your chances by a big shot. Then it just comes to you that you have to perform and see what you can do with your situation that you're given when the light comes up. Another thing with that tip number 3, is stay till completely dark. I've got a lot of shots before the sun, while the sun's starting to go down. I feel like in some areas it's better in the evening than it is in the morning. Where I hunt, me and my cousin, we've shot a lot of stuff when the sun's going down, and we've gotten a lot more opportunities. And we've gotten multiple opportunities when the sun's coming up, but I prefer to hunt when the sun's going down. But that's just my personal view on that. Tip number 5, cut the gap. This comes to archery, rifle, muzzleloader, any hunt that you're doing. You want to cut the gap. If you see a deer at 1,000 yards and you have your 300 win, and you think you can get closer, get closer. Get to cut off a couple hundred yards, make it 800 or a lot, like until you feel confident with that shot. Like I said with tip number 1, you don't want to wound the animal, and you just increase your chance of getting the deer when you cut the gap. I mean, I think your chances at 300 yards are way better than your chances at 1,000. So just cut that gap, try to get closer, but if you can't, then decide if you're going to take the shot or not. Number 6, spot and stalk technique. So the way that I hunt is usually my uncles are down in the bottom, and they're spotting. They're always spotting with their spotting scopes and binos and stuff, looking for deer. And when they see one they think we should go after, last year they saw one on the archery, and me and my cousin went after it. It was a 4-point bedded down. But we wouldn't have been able to go on that stalk if they weren't spot and stalk. If they weren't spotting for us. So I think that's a good technique. I know people like tree stands, truck hunting, spot and stalk. There's a million other things, but any technique you choose, just always be aware of what you're doing and ways that you're gonna get the animal down if one does come in. One thing that I like about spot and stalking is you're always moving and there's a deer there. So, and one thing with that is you always want to be glassing. If it's behind you, in front of you, I can't tell you how many times I've lifted up my binos and I've seen it like a deer in it. If I didn't, it would have been gone. So just always be glassing, and when you spot and stalk, just make sure you choose the right steps and stuff. Which brings me on to my next topic. Watch your step. Watch your step, your scent, and the sight. You don't want to be seen, heard, or smelt by any animal you're going after. From deer to elk to predators. I haven't even hunted those, but I'm sure it's the same. But watch your step. When you step on a branch, I'm not saying I haven't, but when you do, you're probably going to scare the animal away. So I hunt in a really dry area. So it's hard. It's hard to be quiet. We go through this place. It's kind of like a big meadow, and it's very hard to be quiet. There's always stuff there. If it's not dead bushes, it's rattlesnakes. It's just what it is. So just watch your step, and you'll increase your chance a lot when you're sneaking up for your spot and stalk. On to number 7. That was number 6. On to number 7. Oh, no, number 8. Make good ethical shots. When you go in the season, before the season, I do this a lot with my bow, not as much with my rifle, but I'm going to. I shoot my bow probably 3 times a week in the summertime when the season's coming up. And that's just to get used to it and get more comfortable with that equipment and knowing how far I can hit. See, I've shot at stuff that I thought I could have hit, but I missed, and then I've shot at stuff where I thought I was gonna miss and I hit. So you just gotta make the best ethical shot you can, and that comes a lot with practice and controlling your breathing. On to number 9. Be prepared for anything. In the area that I hunt, we've had rainstorms, we've had snowstorms, and then we've had fires in our unit. You just don't know what's going to happen. Just be prepared for anything weather-wise, animal-wise, allergic-wise, whatever it is. Just a good thing that I have is I have I forget what it's called, a medical kit or whatever. A first aid kit, jeez. I have a first aid kit in my pack, and I go through that once a year to make sure I still have stuff that I need. This year I was hunting with my cousin Jack and had some stupid ideas and poked a bee's nest, and I got stung by a bee. So that was pretty stupid, and we had to leave the unit because I'm allergic to them, and I had to go get some Benadryl. So be prepared for anything. From stupid situations to ones that you just don't want to be there anymore, to anything. So, number 10 that I've learned is just go out there and hunt. When it comes to deer, you're never going to see the buck of your lifetime if you're not out there hunting for it. You just got to go. I can't express that enough. If you're just sitting at home watching mule deer videos like, man, I wish I could be doing that. If it's the season, why are you watching videos? Unless it's like dark or something. You better be out there hunting around and going. I mean, I'm sure everyone gets a little tired of hunting after the first month. You're just like, I just want to shoot something, and you get a little antsy, but you just got to keep going and going and going until you get your right chance. And that's just for, like I said, most of these things can go for deer, elk, whatever you want. You're never going to get your chance if you don't go and hunt for it. So, that wraps up my first podcast. I know it's a little shorter, but I think it went well. Comment down below what you got out of it, things that you liked, and give me good feedback or stuff that you didn't like, what I could work on. Hit that like button and sub for me, please, and expect a video on Tuesday. Thank you guys so much.